You want me to point some more lights at you? Are you all right?
Well, hello, my name is Sheikh Afroz, and you're watching Sheikh Podcast, Story with Sheikh, which we usually explore about individual story and talk about their inspirations, their efforts, their hard work, and most importantly, there are some stories which inspired me, if I'm being honest. There are some people which inspired me every day because they are doing amazing job in their daily life. Not only they are doing amazing job, they are looking after others. And here is one of my closest friend, I would say. I consider you as a friend, one of my close friend right now. I learned so much from you, and ever since I came to USA and St. Louis, you are the, I would say, you are the person to whom I rely most of the time. If I have some opinion to take, I would always go with you first. So my friend Pastor Ryan, I call him. So Pastor Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me on your show, Shake. It's exciting to have a recorded conversation. My name is Ryan Sparks. I'm a pastor in a little church near to Webster University, and I've really enjoyed getting to know Shake. It's been, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5,
Six,
maybe
7 months, I
maybe
believe.
6 months already.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate our conversations.
I enjoyed your Sunday supper the last month which we had, and it was like at first my impression was okay. I'm busy. Why should I bother to go? But since you insisted me, and I wanted to try, but I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed being talking about important stuff, and it was friendly. It was memorable. I would say we learned so much from that evening, and thank you so much for that evening. How did you come up with that Sunday supper plan? Uh,
Yeah. Well, Shake, I was so glad that you came. This is the second year I've been doing this.
mhm,
And the idea is to try to gather a small group of strangers, really, who are interested in conversations about hope.
mhm.
And so, 3 Sunday evenings in a row, we put together a simple dinner and just created time and space to get to know each other a bit. I used some material that was already made, so we watched like a little video and talked about it. But the idea was, you know, whoever's interested, where do we get our ideas about hope? Do we experience hope in this life? And then the second conversation was about peace. Do we have a sense of peace personally? And thirdly, where do we find purpose and meaning in our lives? And it was a great group this year, a lot of younger people, 5 or 6 university students, essentially, and some from different parts of the world and different backgrounds, like religiously. So I really enjoy getting to know people and hearing where we're all at on those topics. And so it's good to have you for a couple of those, Shake.
Not only those topics were, how can I say, practical, and all we need to know about those topics, but it was insightful as well. We learned so much about it. I remember that we were reading about peace. Where do we get peace? Is it about fulfilling our dreams? Is it about family? Is it from doing some sort of activities like meditation and yoga and so and so? So I find it very fascinating to deep dive into those topics. I just want to quickly uh, talk about peace. Where do you
Okay.
think the peace comes from?
Well, that is a great question. I do think I think we need peace. Like that's where I'm starting from, just our need for it. I think there's a lot of anxiety in our world, in our culture. What's happening? Are we heading for better times, worse times? I think there's a lot on our shoulders and kind of on our plates just in a day or in a week. And we can feel a lot of stress. And also, I think in spite of all the technologies we have, I think we feel pretty isolated from one another. So, peace has become maybe more of a precious commodity. I mean, that we need. And I'm a religious person in a way, spiritual person, and I really think we need to find peace like beyond just myself. Like it's good to kind of be at peace with myself and not to be consumed with guilt or shame or anxiety. But I think ultimately we need to find peace from somewhere else, something that's like maybe more reliable or even more generous than I am. So that's where I go in that conversation is I feel there's a God who is a God of peace. and wants to help us find that experience.
Most importantly, why do we need peace in our life? Like, can't we live our life without peace? Can't we better off without peace? Because you see every day, like, people do not, like, they're not as peaceful as they claim. They are going around running their life and being successful. But I just want to know, why do we need peace in the first place, and then how do we attain it? Because uh, peace is something which goes beyond words and emotion. It is a practice, I would say. It's a long term practice. It takes hard work. It takes so much efforts to in order to get a small peace. So I want to just quickly ask about, why do we need peace in the first place?
Yeah, well, that is a good question. I think I think it's a longing that we experience. I think it's something that's kind of hardwired into us. Like, we just have a sense that there should be peace, and I think it bothers people. Maybe even universally, but I think it bothers at least most of us that we don't experience more peace. So I think, I mean,
What
there.
is peace to you, if I'm being honest? Like, why you, if we talk about particularly, like, if we talk about personally, why do you need peace, like, in your life? If you can brief about it.
Yeah, well, I think peace has an emotional component to it of, feeling that things are good, that there is harmony, that I can rest, that there's safety. So I think there's an emotional quality to peace, but also for me, it's very relational.
Mm-hmm.
Having like harmony with the people in my life and the world that I live in. It's the absence of conflict. It's the absence of kind of the fear and stress that somebody, somewhere, something's out to get you. So I guess I would define peace. I should have thought about this ahead of time, but I didn't know. I would define peace as just an experience of harmony within myself, within the relationships that I have, and just kind of with the world that we live in.
This is something I know about peace. Imagine if you're a peaceful person. Imagine there's chaotic things happening around you. The world is going crazy. Bad things happening. Would you be more effective while you're taking stress, while being stressful, or would you be more effective while you're being peaceful? So I would always say 101%. If you are peaceful, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the things which is happening externally, we would always come up with the solution. So peace will definitely allow us to solve our life, regardless personal, professional, or worldly problems. It allows some kind of magical things to happen and think properly, I would say. Like, it allows some wisdom. It allows to take good decisions, more importantly. And secondly, as you said, the conflict, what are the challenges? Suppose we want to get a peace, but there are some challenges to get there. One of the challenge which I find very I would say, like, difficult to overcome is choosing one thing at a time. A lot of time I see myself having multiple things at my hand, and that is why it is causing me unpeaceful person. If I choose to let go three things and I choose only one thing, this is how I would like to pursue things, or this is how my day look like. I don't want to, like, people who are unpeaceful, we can usually find this problem very common, that they are trying to chase two or three things at a time,
Sure.
which cause them to be unpeaceful. Maybe it can be their schedule, maybe it can be dreams, goals, and many things. I would say it is much more easy practice to just choose one thing at a time and focus on it, rather than being two, three things and promising two, three things. What do you say about this?
Yeah, I agree. I think we are tempted to try to do more than we actually can. Right? We want to think about more things than we really have the capacity to think about and care about all kinds of things and be involved. So I think there's a lot of temptation to stretch ourselves too thin, do too much. But I think peace comes from having a sense of identity of who I am, and being a finite human being, of there's only so much time in our days, and we only have so much energy and focus. We have these rhythms that we depend on of rest and of work or of engagement. So I think a peaceful person, somebody who can maintain their inner peace, even with a lot of stress and challenge, I think they have a strong sense of who they are and what they're capable of, and that is okay. It's okay to just be the limited person that I am. And I know who I am in the world, and I'm going to make the best choices I can. But even if I make a wrong one, I think I know I can still maintain peace. Mostly, I think, based on my sense of there is a God out there who is a God of peace, not of chaos, not of, not trying to spite us in the ways that we live. And so, ultimately trusting that I can do the best that I can do. And if God is good, he'll take care of the rest.
So it's like the more peaceful you are, the better your life would be, and the more spiritual you would be, something like that. It is always good to be more peaceful than to be stressful. Let's dive into the hope. How do you describe hope? Since we have already discussed the other night,
Yeah.
what do you think about hope though?
Well, I think hope is a very future-oriented concept, right? Hope is feeling kind of positively about where things are going. To be hopeful about what's going to happen is to have confidence that things are life is worth living. Things are moving in a positive direction. Maybe not everything. We certainly face a lot of challenges and disappointments, but to have hope, I think, is to have confidence that the story I'm living is moving in a good direction. The world that we're living in is headed for a better future. And I think that hope is elusive. I mean, we're not so sure about that. And I think there are people who have very little hope about the future for themselves, or for the world, for our country. So, I mean, it was great to dive into this conversation a few weeks ago over one of those dinners and just talk about, where's everybody at? Are things getting better? Are they getting worse? Are we stuck
is
in
this
some
just
kind of a circle?
circle
Yeah.
or
Is it all meaningless and chaotic? So we had those different possibilities in front of us.
I definitely see that we are moving towards the better things. We are moving towards improvement. We are moving towards harmony, because I have this hope that the good people are doing their job, and as long as they are doing it, things will be balanced. Things will overcome, darkness. I would say, I don't know, but collectively, I'm speaking. I'm very hopeful person. I call myself as an optimistic person. I believe in, that there are good things out there that going to happen. Things will be better. But at the same time, we don't have to be blindsided what is happening right now. It's good to have hope, but it is also good to address the reality. What do you say about, there's a struggle between, okay, if I'm being hopeful, do I have to ignore the reality, or how does it work though?
Yeah, I resonate with a lot of what you're saying here, Sheikh, because I have a lot of hope in people, in humanity. I think, just getting to know you and others, I think people are very creative and talented and generous. We also have darker sides where we've experienced where some people are very, they can be very selfish or very self-serving. So there's a mixed, it's mixed,
Yes.
good and bad tied up in there, dignity and depravity. But on the whole, I feel very hopeful about people. And I think, coming from my perspective, my faith background, I believe that people get all of that, all those good qualities. That hopefulness that I see in people comes from a hopefulness in the God who made them. And I think God made us to reflect these things about himself. So if I can have hope in humanity, and that is probably derivative, secondary to the hope that I have in a God who wants this story to end well and to move in a positive direction, right? So I have a larger hope about humanity one day really becoming fully human. I think there's a lot of things about us that aren't very human, those darker things. So my hope ultimately is in Jesus and in God, that he's going to finish the story that he started, and he's going to bring humanity to a point where he wanted us to be, to really reflect the goodness of his own character.
One thing, there's again, when we discuss about peace and we talk about how to attain it, but this is something that we have to realize that it takes time. Everything takes time. It doesn't happen in one day or 1 hour or 1 month. It takes time. So the other day I was reading about something about happiness. It says that if you are not happy, just go outside and do something for others, and then therefore you will feel happy. In order to be hopeful, give hope to others, so that it will work. It will reflect in your life. And if you're being as it at this moment, if I feel hopeless about my life, I would rather go out and do something about someone, and maybe perhaps uh, do my best to improve his life and give hope, or maybe connect to him with some opportunity or people. Therefore I'll become hopeful. So I the confident come, like, hope is something. It is not always selfish, if I'm being honest. It is a job of selfless. In order to become more hopeful, we need to look after each other in our community, in our surrounding. I think that's how we become hopeful. Otherwise we will be just talking about hope and we are not doing anything. That doesn't make sense to me. Do you have anything to over this?
Yeah, I love those ideas. I think those are really wonderful, practical things we can do. I love the idea of just going out and enjoying the beauty of our world, especially now in the spring as everything's blooming here in St. Louis. My view of things is that the world was made for us to enjoy and to delight in it. It is, we have searched the entire universe and we haven't found anything like it. It's the perfect habitation for human beings. And I think, to go out and enjoy it reminds us of who we are and why we're here. And then the other idea you shared about serving somebody, helping somebody else, I think that too is central to what does it really mean to be a human being. And I think a lot of what it means to be human is to be of service to one another, to look for ways to kind of cause flourishing for the people that we know and love, but also for strangers, also for the rest of this world of ours. So I think those things are very helpful in kind of realigning us with who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be, and it does help restore our hope.
Do you remember the other day we were discussing about having a reflection moment in life?
Mm-hmm.
Just like allowing yourself to think about your where are we going, where I'm going, which direction I'm moving towards.
Right,
Is this a
yeah.
good direction or is it the bad direction? And this is something I think we need to discuss. Like, as we become more busier and busier every day due to our schedule, classes, and so and so, I think it is nice to take some time out and just reflect about your life. Like, what does hope mean to me? What does peaceful means to me? And more importantly, I see many people, legitimate people, very authentic people who find their purpose in order to serve others. And there have been many legendary leaders. I'm not sure, like, maybe you have heard the name of Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa. This is just something like everybody knows, but there are more leaders who found their purpose just to serve others.
Mm-hmm.
So my next topic would be purpose. Like,
Okay.
how can we find our purpose? This looks ridiculously easy questions and ridiculously easy topic, but people search for their answer throughout their life. It is even one lifetime is not enough for these questions. So how do we find purpose? What is purpose?
Well, it is a simple question, but I think it's a deep and profound, like, philosophical topic. And I agree that there is meaning and purpose, and it would be good for us to find kind of a personal sense of what gives my life meaning and purpose. So I guess if we're sticking with the practical, like the examples of Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa, they found purpose in serving, and I think that has a lot to do with finding something that brings you joy in the world. Like, what can I do with the life that I have? time and the energies that I have. Um, and there's a lot of variety, I think, in different purposes. Human beings are very different from one another. There's a lot of complexity and diversity. So I think some of the simple things we need to do to find purpose would include like trying some different things.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't know how much something might bring you joy or gladness or be meaningful to others until you just try it. But I do think gladness is the key, or joy. What is the thing that brings you the most gladness? And I think whatever that is, whatever like brings you to life, I think that is the gift that the world needs from each of us, to find our gladness. That's the thing that the world needs.
Yesterday I was traveling, and then this idea came up to me. Like similar to what you said just now, find different things first. Like if you are confused, if you are a person who has no idea what he's doing and who want to find a purpose or kind of meaningful thing in life, either he should start writing every day, journal. I would say that is a good practice, or try different things, so that eventually he will tailor himself or craft himself to that one idea where he can be glad, as well as he seems like, okay, I can contribute something to this idea, I can be be a part of this cause, and eventually he will find the purpose. So again, this is also very hardworking, but not everybody is willing to go out and try different things in order to just to find purpose. But what I really understand is that once we find the purpose, then your entire 60 years or 70 years, regardless of your mortality, it will serve you well. It makes you happy. It will kind of, it will lay out the foundation of your life. Okay, I'm being a part of something which is worth something. So it is hard to find, but once you find it, it is worthwhile. What do you say? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think finding something that's meaningful, purposeful for me to do, doesn't make everything easy. There's going to be a lot of hard things, a lot of challenge, but it makes it worthwhile. I think it's something that you're willing to go the distance in because of what it means to you, the gladness that it brings, because of the help or the value other people put on it. So I would agree. Yeah, it really can fill our lives with meaning and help us keep going through years and decades. And things might change. What gives me joy and meaning and purpose might shift and develop through the years. But I think it does make our lives just a delight to
Yes.
live. That it makes the ways that we can be of service to others really full of joy. And I think that's a wonderful thing when we can land on it and find out what it is. But it is hard. I think it does take risk. You got to try something. Self-reflection, as you mentioned, is really important. Like to try to figure out, well, what do I think about this? What was my experience in this? Another thing I would add is I think we need conversation partners.
yes.
Somebody who cares enough about you and knows you well enough to give you some feedback and say, well, here's what it looked like from my perspective. So I think those things could all be very helpful.
I think one of the thing, if you talk about the student level, like university level students and college level students, the thing which I really highly encourage for them to just sit with people who are discussing about life. Just find group who are actually discussing about peace or life and career, and just be surrounded with those things, because it's good that we have this technology and amazing phones and resources in our hand, but we can do this anytime we want. But those groups, those people will never come back, those moments will never come back. So my primary intention is to always make friends. I don't care about what topic is going on, but I usually seek places and try to join those things just to make friends, and eventually I find something like. So that has helped me in a lot of ways. Like I met you and I met many other people just to make friends, irrespective of our religious. We still share so many things equally. Like we understand mutually about those topics. But I would say just surround yourself to a group of people who are actually discussing about things, like, because we need it because this technology is As much as I appreciate the technology, there is other side of the technology that people are aware of. I don't want to say that. And more importantly, see, let's talk about a little bit about leadership.
Okay.
If I'm a student, I don't know anybody, any new place. So if I find a person who has leader capacity, who has leader skill, who is looking after others, I think that person can impact others' life. So what I see in this life is there are less and less leaders, and not I don't want to say less and less. Why so many people are not trying to become good example or leaders? What is happening right now is like I just can't seem to find any leadership around me. Why is that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think leadership is hard to come by. At a basic level, I think leadership is a skill or a set of skills that you can learn and develop. But I think people don't want to develop those skills. Like they're not sure if they want to be leaders, so they don't actually start working at developing leadership. So I think we're not seeing leaders because it's kind of not popular right now to be the one who gets out there and does things. I mean, we're coming through a number of years now that have just been very critical, very cynical. It's been a time of pointing out what's wrong and tearing things down and canceling and defunding. It's just very negative. And so who wants to be a leader in this like negative world? Nobody, because you're just going to make yourself a target. You're just going to be the next person to get canceled or to be defunded or to, all the negativity. So I think we need to develop some courage to say, well, hold on. Leadership isn't always a bad thing. We need people in the world who will help us do the things that are good, the things that are right, the things that are beautiful, even in a world that's imperfect, where the outcomes are never really what we wanted them to be. We need people to get out there and lead anyway and just do the best they can. So we need to get to a place where people are willing to take that risk. And then, like I said, it's a set of skills you got to develop. So it takes practice,
Courage.
thinking about it. It takes receiving feedback. It takes recognizing what was good. Okay, I'll do that again. Recognizing the things that didn't work, that weren't well received. Okay, we're going to change those. So I think it's a hard thing because you can't do it all by yourself. Nobody can develop leadership, sitting at home all by themselves in their bedroom. You have it's a team sport. You have to get out there with people to lead. Now, maybe you can do that through technology. You don't have to physically be together, but I think it takes that kind of risk. It takes a social risk of revealing something about myself to other people. And what are they going to think about that or say about that? Am I going to receive all the negativity that I'm seeing in the world? And you might.
But does it have to be title or authority in order to become leader, or we can just look after the left and right person and be happy about that small leadership, that small agency we have? Do we have to have this large amount of
Yeah.
popularity or people to look after, or being one or two person would be much more like, okay, it's not like I became leader. I'll go there, but I start from here.
Yeah.
I'll start from my neighbors. I'll start from my junior. I will start mentoring to people who are struggling. So, as we have discussed this story, that there was one person who was running just near the beach, and he saw so many fish flash out this ocean, and he was just putting one fish at a time into the ocean. And one other person came. There's hundreds of fish. You cannot even possibly put all fish back together. So he said, even if I save one fish life, that would be my purpose. That would be my most satisfaction thing that I would ever do in my life. So we don't have to put all fish inside the ocean, but even if we can find one fish at a time, I think that would be a brilliant idea to make a purpose. Do not go or change the world. Just try to find one person or one. How can I say? Stick to less, but do it well. I think that could be our purpose. We don't have to have bigger purpose, a bigger mission in life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think leadership can happen at all different scales. from very, very small to very large. I think sometimes we confuse leadership for something that it's not. Leadership is not having a lot of followers, having a big platform where lots of people listen to me. That's not leadership. That's something else,
Yes.
popularity or something else. But leadership is I have a vision, something I want to see happen in the world, and leadership is about mobilizing people towards that vision of something different, something greater, something better. And it could be very small. Maybe it's just me and my dog, and my vision is to get outside and go on a walk. And leadership is getting the things organized and making sure my dog's with me and we're out there. It can be very small scale, and maybe it's a few friends, but I think leaders see something that doesn't exist. They want it to happen, and they see the potential for people to join them. And a leader will always have somebody following them, even if it's just one or two in something small. But I think I would encourage, I think we do need leadership. I think it'd be great for every person to embrace this. I think there's something within each of us that can see a better possibility than what we have now. And so the leaders are the ones who say, not only do I see that possibility, I want to try to make that happen. And is there anybody here who will come along with me? Let's see if we can do it together.
With that, I would like to say one last thing. I would like to really touch about doing your best but expecting nothing in return. That can be a trap for many of us. Like we put ourselves out, we put our hard work and efforts, and we are accustomed to get something in return. As a human being, we have this tendency to, okay, I did this, maybe I'll get some other thing in return. So there's a poem which says that there's a well in the village, the water well, we say.
Okay.
So I'll go to that well, I'll honor that well, I'll go to the meetings, community meeting. I'll do every possible way. I will contribute myself, I will dedicate myself, but I'll not drink the water from that well. I'll not drink the water, but I'll not also cherish any outcome. What it is trying to say is that as a person, I'll do everything to keep that well safe, but I'll not cherish any outcome in return. So I think most of us, I feel myself that I fell into the trap of having expectations once I do something. So which can ruin, again, my peace, my purpose, and it can affect the topic which we have discussed.
Yes.
So serving is good, but I believe not having expectation without cherished outcome would be much more better purpose to have in life with leadership, I would say.
Yeah, I think there is a tendency for us to have kind of a transactional view of life. I did my part, and now there should be a return on that. We just kind of, I don't know why we get to this place, but I think we often expect it to work that way. That if I put in my time and I did the effort, I should get the return and the reward. But I just don't think the universe works that way. I think there's more mystery to it. And I think, we need to have a willingness to embrace that mystery. Like, well, I'm going to offer something and we'll see what happens. So it's not that I have no expectation. I'm expecting that, the world needs my gladness, and the things that I can offer are going to be of help and service. But I don't know what return I'm going to get for it. So I don't know. I guess I think if you, especially in this category of leadership, and really wanting to lean into a personal sense of meaning and purpose, I think there has to be a sense of the wonder and the mystery of we don't know what the outcomes will be. And I think it comes back to being having hope. Can I be a hopeful person, even if the outcome's not what I wanted it to be? And just paying attention, I guess, to the moment we live in, and what is it that is wanted and needed. What do I have to offer, right? And where those things intersect, I think that's where we want to live our lives, with what I can offer and what the world needs. And when those things come together, we're hoping for a good outcome, but you just don't know for sure. So I think that's part of the mystery of the world we live in. It's much bigger than you or I. We're never really going to be in control of it.
With that, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to share before leaving? I mean,
Well, I just want to, I guess, encourage your listeners, whoever tunes into this podcast. I really appreciate you, Sheikh, your openness and your curiosity, your sense of interest in people and their stories and what we can learn from each other. So I hope everybody listening is keying in on that. And I hope they'll keep coming back to hear what you're doing next.
with that, likewise, I admire you a lot. I respect you, and I hope we continue our friendship for a long, long time. Again, you're just a great friend. So
Thank you,
I
Sheikh.
think that I can always rely on you. So thank you so much, and see you next week. And we will continue our stories with Sheikh, and hope to see you again.